7 dangerous places that destroy your power. Schopenhauer. There are places a man walks into with confidence and walks out with nothing, not because someone defeated him, but because he surrendered himself without noticing. These places do not break a man by force. They simply wait for him to lower his guard, to desire comfort more than clarity, validation more than self-respect, pleasure more than purpose. Schopenhauer once wrote that human beings are creatures easily deceived, most successfully when the deception flatters their weakness. And the places that destroy a man's power never introduce themselves as threats. They present themselves as relief. They speak the language of ease, acceptance, entertainment, belonging. They kill not with knives, but with comfort. They do not stab the body. They sedate the will. Let us go through the 7 places where a man's power does not fall. It evaporates. Place 1. The environment that asks nothing of you. The first place is the most familiar. It is where mediocrity feels like peace, where no one demands your improvement because they fear improvement themselves. It is a social swamp disguised as home, school, workplace, or friendship. In this place, a man is praised for staying the same, not evolving. He is liked because he is predictable, not because he is admirable. He is accepted because he never threatens the silent agreement that everyone collectively stop growing. Try wanting more, and suddenly your goals are too much. Try working harder, and suddenly you're obsessed. Try improving, and you will hear, "What happened to you?" What happened is simple. You violated the tribe's comfort. Most people want you to succeed, just not more than them. Want you to grow, but not faster than them. Want you to be confident, just not confident enough to stop needing their approval. Schopenhauer would say, man is the only animal that resents the excellence of his own species. If you remain in such places long enough, your vision shrinks to the size of the room. Your ambition becomes the ceiling. Your self-worth becomes the echo of their opinions. This place does not destroy you dramatically. It kills potential through boredom. A man who spends years where nothing is required of him eventually loses the ability to require anything of himself. Place 2. The kingdom of distraction. The second place does not ask for your obedience, it buys it. It pays you in stimulation, entertainment, and escapism. It seduces you with the easiest currency to spend and the hardest to regain: your attention. Distraction is the modern tyrant. It doesn't command, it invites. It doesn't punish, you punish yourself. The human mind once hunted, strategized, calculated. Now it scrolls. A man who cannot sit alone with his thoughts is already imprisoned. Because a distracted man cannot build, he can only react. He does not prioritize, he scrolls. He does not create, he consumes. He does not lead, he follows trends. This place sells satisfaction in small hits, dopamine injections that trick the brain into believing it has achieved something simply because it felt something. You laugh, you react, you comment. You debate strangers you will never meet. All the while, your own life remains untouched, unchanged, unimproved. Distraction is far more profitable than your growth. There are entire industries built not to improve your mind, but to occupy it. Not to empower you, but to addict you. A distracted man is easy to manage. His impulses can be predicted. His desires can be sold back to him. His time can be rented in small intervals until there is none left. Schopenhauer believed most men avoid thinking because thinking forces them to confront themselves. Noise is easier than truth. Entertainment is easier than discipline. Numbness feels safer than ambition. If silence is uncomfortable for you, your problem isn't silence. Your problem is your life. Place 3. The realm of emotional chaos. If distraction numbs a man, emotion blinds him. The third place where power dissolves is internal, where feelings dictate decisions and impulses govern identity. The world doesn't need to defeat a man whose anger defeats him. The world doesn't need to reject a man whose insecurity disables him. The world doesn't need to hold him back if fear does the job first. To be controlled emotionally is to be remotely operated by anyone who knows which buttons to push. A manipulator doesn't overpower you, they simply provoke you. An enemy doesn't need to be stronger, they only need to be smarter. A relationship doesn't need chains, it only needs emotional hooks. Anger makes you reckless, jealousy makes you irrational, validation makes you obedient, and modern society constantly encourages emotional worship. Feel everything, express everything, trust your feelings. Terrible advice. Your feelings are not moral, they are not accurate, they are not commands, they are impulses. They are chemical reactions shaped by memory, fear, insecurity, instinct, and ego. Schopenhauer believed humans are driven by irrational will, first, logic second. Emotion creates logic. Logic rarely corrects emotion. A man who has not mastered his emotions becomes a threat to his own future and an asset to others' interests. Place 4. Stagnation. Disguised as stability. The fourth place destroys a man not through chaos, but repetition. The same days, the same habits, the same routines, the same stories you tell yourself. This is just how life is. I don't have a choice. It's too late. It's risky. I should be grateful. There is a difference between gratitude and sedation. Being thankful is noble. Being numb is not. Stagnation feels safe. It feels responsible. It feels adult. But much of what society calls responsibility is simply fear rationalized. A man does not stop dreaming because he grows old. He grows old because he stops dreaming. Stagnation doesn't ruin your life. It quietly edits it. It reduces the plot. It deletes characters. It removes chapters. It shrinks the ending, all without your permission. Dreams die without funerals. Schopenhauer pointed out that humans cling more to the familiar pain than the unfamiliar possibility. Many men would rather endure a life they dislike than risk a life they might love. Risk terrifies those who have forgotten how to want. Place 5. The mind that betrays itself. The fifth place is subtle. It is where your mind becomes an unreliable narrator, reshaping reality through a lens of inadequacy. Self-doubt is not humility. It is slow, spiritual vandalism. You begin to bargain against yourself. I'm not ready. I don't know enough. Others are better. What if I fail? Let us be clear. Doubt rarely means danger. Most often, doubt means conditioning. If you were told often enough that you are average, you will believe it. If your achievements were minimized, you will minimize yourself. If your capabilities were questioned, you will become the one who questions them. Comparison worsens the wound. You measure your life against curated illusions. You see their highlight reels and contrast them with your behind the scenes. Schopenhauer observed that happiness is rare because humans constantly witness what others possess. Comparison transforms life into a competition where everyone loses. Even the so-called winners live terrified of losing. A doubtful man cannot lead because he does not believe himself. He cannot love because he does not value himself. He cannot compete because he disqualifies himself. A man who doubts himself becomes the accomplice in his own defeat. Place 6. Dependency, the silent surrender. Dependency is surrender disguised as support. The sixth place destroys power by making you feel helpless without something or someone. There are men who cannot function without approval. Some cannot operate without distraction. Others require substances to simulate confidence. Many cling to relationships not out of love, but fear of solitude. Dependency creeps in quietly. It feels comforting. It feels like help. It feels like safety. And that is why it is deadly. The dependent man does not ask, "Is this good for me?" He asks, "What would I do without it?" Dependency trades long-term strength for short-term relief. Pain avoided becomes pain multiplied. Truth avoided becomes identity lost. Schopenhauer wrote that humans often choose the illusion of happiness over the pursuit of truth because illusions are cheaper, faster, and more available. To depend on anything external for peace is to hand over the keys to your inner kingdom, because whoever or whatever you rely on to function is, by definition, your ruler. Place 7. Self-abandonment, the final surrender. The seventh place is the darkest, because it does not destroy your confidence, your discipline, or your ambition. It destroys your identity. This place is built from tiny reasonable compromises. A man silences himself to avoid conflict. He hides his desires to avoid judgment. He reshapes his personality to be more acceptable. And gradually, he becomes familiar to everyone except himself. He performs more than he lives. He adapts more than he expresses. He complies more than he chooses. And the applause he receives is not for who he truly is. It's for the mask he has welded to his face. Society rewards self-abandonment because the self-assured are inconvenient. They cannot be guilted, silenced, manipulated, or steered. A man who knows himself becomes unpredictable, and unpredictability is the enemy of control. Self-abandonment feels noble. It feels mature. It feels necessary. But nothing destroys power faster than betraying your own instincts. Identity is the throne of personal power. Once vacated, nothing else stands. You can rebuild wealth. You can rebuild strength. You can rebuild reputation. But rebuilding a self-abandoned is an excavation, digging through layers of compromises to find the bones of a man you buried. Most men never attempt this excavation because the world has convinced them that numbness is peace, distraction is happiness, dependence is connection, stagnation is stability, emotion is truth, doubt is humility, and conformity is love. It is not. These are simply the 7 silent places where power dissolves and the world applauds as it happens. So what now? If you recognize these places, it means you have been there. Every man has. And the exit is not dramatic. It begins with an internal rebellion. I owe the world nothing for the right to become myself. You will lose people. You will lose approval. You will lose comfort. But the only things you lose when walking out of these places are the things that would have cost you your life anyway. The world does not fear strong men. The world fears self-guided men. Men who think independently. Men who act deliberately. Men who do not need permission to exist. Write in the comments, I protect my power. Not because the words matter, but because the decision does.